Hey, welcome back, friends. When most people hear the words transmission line, they picture a simple line on a map, something that follows a highway, a railroad, or an existing utility corridor and just blends into the landscape. You may not even give it a second thought. But in Erath and Somerville counties, families are facing proposed 765 kV transmission lines, higher voltage lines than Texas has ever built. These are not just lines on a map. They could run right through multi-generational farms and ranches, near schools and small businesses, across rivers and wildlife corridors, and through the communities where real Texas families live and work. A proposed 765 kV transmission project could cut right through rural communities in Texas that have spent generations caring for this land. And these communities have questions. Who all was notified and when? Did they have enough time to understand the process and participate? Have all the environmental, historic, public safety, and property impacts been fully examined? And before Texas commits to infrastructure of this size, have decision makers seriously considered every practical alternative? For many families, navigating a Public Utility Commission case means suddenly having to become an expert in an online process they've never used, while traveling to Austin, take time away from work and duties on the ranch, paying for hotels, and long days of just waiting for the chance to be heard and what may be the most important hearing of their lives. This is their opportunity to protect their livelihood, their land, and the legacy they hope to leave for generations to come. For a working rancher, a small business owner, a retired teacher, or a family protecting a loved one's burial place, meaningful public participation can begin to feel completely out of reach. That is why local leaders came together to form the Erath-Somerville Sub-Regional Planning Commission under Chapter 391. Their goal is simple: to make sure the people who will live with the consequences have a voice and are not left out of the decisions. Today, I'm joined by Erath County Judge Brandon Huckabee, who chairs one of those commissions. I asked him to share when his community first learned of the project, what he's hearing from families on the ground, and the conversations they've had with Oncor, which is the electric transmission and distribution company proposing and seeking approval to build these 765 kV lines, as well as the Public Utility Commission, Texas legislators, and federal and state agencies. We will also talk about where things stand today and what comes next. Judge Huckabee, thank you for joining us. I'm Molly Vogt, and this is American Energy Works, the show that exposes how energy policy shapes our lives, our wallets, and our nation's strength. Judge Huckabee, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Before we talk about transmission lines and the process and everything your county's been going through, I kind of wanted to help people understand and get a visual of where we're talking about. For anyone that hasn't been in Erath County, can you talk to us about the land, the businesses, the farms? Like, what does your home look like out there?
Well, it's the greatest place on earth, but we don't want everybody coming here. So we're the cowboy capital of the world. So agriculture has been our base, but we're about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half southwest of Fort Worth. So we're growing just like the region is, and but we're agriculture. We've got dairies, we've got equine horse industry. The rodeo industry is really large in Erath County, and friendliest people you'll ever meet. And it's just a beautiful place to call home. It's changing. We're trying. We're growing. Like I mentioned, we have Tarleton State University here that is growing quickly, and it's a big part of the city of Stephenville, which is the county seat of Erath County. But we've grown, or trying to grow, in a way that's still respectful of our roots and who we are as people, and still have those pull up your boots and put them on and get to work. And it's a special place. It's special because of the people. But we're a agricultural based county. So
Love it. Well, when did you first hear about the proposed 765 lines, the project, and how did that information get to you?
Well, like many people, we actually owned some property that was on a county line, or was on one of the proposed lines, and we got a packet in the mail. And we started finding out when they were going to have the open house. They hosted one of those here in Stephenville. at our senior center inside the city of Stephenville. And so that's really the first time it kind of hit. It still wasn't real sure what it was, the scope of it, the magnitude of what we were dealing with, really at the time. We've had power lines in the past come through, the Crez line and stuff like that runs through, but this was different. And so come to find out, Oncor did send a letter by email that I've looked and I've never found, but in December of 24 with a 21-day window, I think it was like December 13th, and asked me to respond for issues that might come from this and characteristics and things that in Erath County. I didn't get that. I didn't respond at that time. So I found out when everybody else did, and we received a packet in the mail that we had property that may be affected by this.
So it was kind of a short window to pull together information from the county to pull out right around Christmas time, you're saying, in December?
Yeah, even if I would have got it the moment that they sent it, we are a small county, small staff. It's me and one person in my office, and to get that all pulled together, and what now the 391 really is done, but it's taken months to do that, would have been impossible. And we may go into that more, but that's been my thoughts on this whole process. Really, it's been an incredibly compressed timeline to try to gather the information, the data that I believe is relevant for the project, and that's been a problem throughout the whole thing.
Let's talk about the 391 commission that your community formed to really push back on this and to make sure that all of your people were heard. It's the Erath-Somerville Sub-Regional Planning Commission. Tell us, why did you create the commission, and what can a coordinated commission like this accomplish that individual landowners can't do on their own?
Right. And so the idea, Joanna Freeble has become a really good friend of mine, and she works on a lot of different issues. But she introduced me to Dan and Margaret Byfield with American Stewards of Liberty, and they kind of talked about using this process in a couple other counties for different types of projects. And so did our due diligence. You don't want to rush into any of these things, but time, like I just talked about, time is of essence on all of these things. And so I reached out to my counterpart in Somerville County and said, hey, we are allowed by Chapter 391 of the Texas Government Code to form this sub-regional planning commission to address development and different things within our boundaries. And I think this is a tool that may be helpful for us. And Judge Chambers agreed, and we got to work and got everything formed. And what it's really allowed us to do is to give a collective voice for the community. I've always told the landowners it's important you fight for your property and your right, but we're going to be fighting it as a whole. And it also allowed us to get the U.S. Fish and Wildlife to the table. We had a public meeting with them to ask them questions and things about the process. Funny enough, in that meeting, they said the first time that they had heard of it was the letter that I sent requesting them to meet with us out of their regional office. And so we were able to do that. Oncor came and had another meeting with the commission. We had a public meeting with them and got them to answer some questions. That was right after the hearing with the state administrative judges, and it was fun to get to ask questions and not have somebody interrupt or say that's not allowed or this. So we really got to ask them, and we the questions we asked were questions that our citizens had, and that we had, and the impacts that it would have on agriculture, on our communication system, on schools. I know I watched your interview with Vanessa Halford. These lines run right by schools. And ask them a little bit about their process. I mean, we have a Middle Trinity Water District that has written in a brief and filed as an intervener that laid out that they were never contacted, and they know where all the wells are. So we proved that there was not due diligence done by Oncor on their application part to this process. And I think we got some really good answers that, we got answers, not good answers for satisfying, but we got good answers that help us develop, our view, our thoughts on that, and confirm some things that we thought throughout the process. So the 391, I think, has been fantastic. It's been really well attended. When we have those meetings, we have a lot of citizens show up, and a lot of citizen input's gone on to that with the elected officials and the two at-large members. And, we've created our policy that's in place that addresses a lot of the concerns that we have that say, if you don't address these concerns, you can't come here. And so I think it's given another outlet besides encouraging our landowners to fight on their own, which is a daunting task or an expensive task. And it's given them another leg to stand on. I do want to, Dan and Margaret have helped me immensely through this project, and I wouldn't have been able to ramp it up as quickly as I could have without them. My state rep, I do want to give her credit. I visited with her about it, and she told us to go for it, and she sat on the board. Representative Slauson, and I think that is part of the overall strategy of developing a wall against this, right? The people feel like their voice can be heard, and their government, at least locally, is working for them. And I think we saw with the brief filed by legislators, that's starting to move up, and that was our hope from all along. We could start that momentum to not say move it here or there. We don't want it. Like I told Oncor in our meeting, I hope it gets denied. We don't want it anywhere in Somerville or Erath County. Yeah. And that's been our goal, and that's what I think the 391 has allowed us to move forward on that some. So.
Good. Well, I love it. And yes, I love that Representative Slauson's been so into this. And I love that 43 of our legislators signed on to that amicus brief saying you've got to stop these lines right now. Obviously, so many people in the communities are fighting back and standing up. And as Judge Huckabee, I've heard that there's a lot of people that never got notice. I know you said that there are many that never got notice. And then also, like you said, the timeline wasn't long enough to get a lot of information back. But then also, I've talked to many people in the communities that have never used, they don't use internet. And so, let's talk about what a pain it was for them to try to either get on to a Zoom call and sit there all week and wait for their name to be called to be able to give their testimony, or they needed to actually come down all the way to Austin, get a hotel room and sit there for 5 days until they got called. And that's expense out of pocket, and that's time out of work and time off the ranch. And time, if you've got kids in school, it seemed to me like the process was a pain, for many people. And so do you feel like has everybody by now, you think, in your communities in the region actually received notice, or are there still people that are still waiting to get notice?
I think everybody knows about it now. I don't think everybody was properly notified. We've got quite a few people that weren't, and the notice thing to me needs reform. There's people that are right on the boundaries that houses are built, and it's right on the boundaries of notice, and should they get notice or not? The process, I'll say overarching throughout the whole thing, the process is not good enough. Yeah. It's not fair. It's not good enough. And you're right. We had people not get notice. We had an amazing group of volunteers in our community, the No 765 group. I've got a shirt right back here that they gave me, and they did yeoman's work, volunteers of notifying people and organizing people and having public meetings that I went to help these people know what to do, because it's not as simple as turning in a form, which if you would have went to the first town hall meeting, you would have thought, well, I filled out this form and then it's kind of over. It's filing the intervention form, filing their testimony, filing any of their pleas. And we're talking about in Erath County, like I talked about, we're an agricultural place. So you've got a lot of places where this is running across as generational ranches, land, places. And a lot of those people are older that are not comfortable with technology and what it has to do. So, here in Erath County, my office, I don't know how many, Jocelyn Perez, my chief of staff, I don't know how many people, but it was hundreds of people that we helped file their intervenor forms, or we helped them with technology. We let the conference room be used by the volunteers to help people with their testimony, and then filing it, and then making sure it was filed on Kite and all the different places that it made. So in a very compressed timeline, like you talked about. I think one of the judges in one of the hearings, talked about this is a month-long process trying to be crammed into days, and overall, it was very difficult. A lot of people that are going to be impacted filed their as interveners, but didn't get their testimony in time, or didn't do it the right format, and it got thrown out, and things like that. So, again, overarching, the process is confusing. It's expensive. The layman doesn't understand the legal workings of everything that goes on, and it needs to change flat out. It needs to change. I don't believe. I'm a big landowner. I live out here because I want to live out here, and my family has a ranch, and people are proud of their land. It's not just land here. It's our legacy that we leave to future generations. It's not just simply land that somebody can come in and pay me for taking my land, and then it's okay, because the people have spent generations cultivating their land and their businesses. A lot of businesses around here, and the process is not fair. It's too convoluted. It's too compressed to have a fair reflection of what it is. And I think that even goes back to the application process, where I will still contend to this day, their application doesn't have everything, all the impacts that should be in there. So.
We want to share those impacts. Talk to us about the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. I'm shocked that they found out about this from you, not from Oncor directly. And if Oncor was really doing their due diligence, I would think that the Fish and Wildlife would be one of the first groups they would reach out to, considering how much land and the beautiful rivers and the wildlife corridors that you have out there. How did your conversation with the Fish and Wildlife go, and what concerns do they have? And is there any information that you found out during those meetings that the people should know about and Oncor should know about, like endangered species, anything that might be harmed that we need to know, that is one reason that these shouldn't be coming through there?
Yeah, it was shocking to me that that's the first they heard. I don't know about their organizational structure, and if Oncor is dealing with somebody in D.C. and it hadn't got, I don't know. But I know our regional crew, they said in our meeting, the first time he had heard about it was when I sent the letter inviting them to come to it, which is concerning because they have to have take permits based on endangered species and what we found from there. I don't want to get the number wrong, but it's more than 10 species that are identified in this area that aren't covered on their current take permit. In the meeting with Oncor, they alluded that they had another take permit. I asked them for that in the meeting that we had with them. I've since sent another letter following up asking for that to share with the 391 Commission. We don't have it. So, again, to me, the main thing that we learned there is that there hadn't been that engagement There hadn't been that engagement from Oncor, like there hadn't been that engagement with Middle Trinity, like there hadn't been that engagement with Erath County or Somerville County, or I don't want to speak for the others, but I talked to judges across this area. There hadn't been communication with them, and so that's concerning. And how are we going to react? We have the Paluxy River here. We have the Bosque River. This crosses over that in many different places. And we have people, Lance Trink, a great guy that lives here that has really made his place a sanctuary type place for native species, and allowed the university students to come out and study different things. It runs right through the middle of his property. And we're talking about golden cheek warblers. We're talking about destruction of a 200-foot wide right-of-way right through the middle of his property. Something that Lance, a retired firefighter, he would tell you, spent his whole life. He's getting to live his dream up until this point, till he gets this letter, cultivating his land, leaving it to his kids after that, and now he's staring this right in the face. And so, again, another one of those stories that's just not right. And back to U.S. Fish and Wildlife, a lot of those things aren't on their take permit, and I'm still not an expert. I've tried to learn everything that there is to learn about these transmission projects and take permits and all this, but the key point people need to take away is that not everything in our area is covered on that take permit, and there's going to be huge negative impacts to our land, our wildlife, and everything if this is allowed to move forward.
Yeah, yeah. How about the emergency communications infrastructure? I heard something that you and some other communities pulled some money together to come up with emergency communications. And, this week we're flooding again right now, kind of like same as last year, hopefully not at the same as last year, but we need our emergency communications to be working. So tell me about the communication structure that you've set up and how this might affect that.
Yeah, so we, a couple of years ago, we bit the bullet and spent the money to upgrade our radio communication system to digital communication system, in part, and joined Hood County, the city of Granbury, the city of Stephenville, all of Erath County, city of Dublin included in that. And now Somerville County has joined that as well, so kind of a tri-county area that's working on the same radio systems. And all that was engineered and designed before we even knew about the possibility of these 765 lines that, range up to, I can't get an exact answer from anybody because they're haven't done their engineering for it of how tall, but up to 200 feet tall towers running throughout our county. Which led us to a huge concern of how is that going to interfere with the towers that we've built and set up in the talk paths that we rely on, and our volunteer fire departments rely on, and our sheriff's office and the police departments rely on to help save people's lives, or EMS, to save people's lives, to keep the community safe. What are these towers going to do? So we had our engineering firm kind of run some mock-ups, and every one of these of the proposed lines that run through Erath County, all of them run through Erath County. There's different paths. I think we've got 3. You can add little jumpers off different things, but 3 main paths. All of them bisect those talk paths in multiple places, and so our concern is you put a tower siding in exactly the wrong place. You've got a breakdown in the line of sight, communication that goes on. What interference as those lines go through the 765 lines that are in between the towers? What could there be signal loss or things of that, distortion, things like that? So that's been a huge concern of ours at the very beginning. And we've brought that to Oncor's attention. I brought that to their attention in June of 25. with the engineering report that we've shared with them. And quite frankly, their answer was, "No, we engineer around that. We'll do it." And a lot of their answers to me, quite frankly, have been trust us, and I don't have a lot of trust. So, it's a huge concern we have. I don't want to have to go spend taxpayer money. We're a conservative county. We want to spend every dollar with the best ROI that we can get, every penny where we can. And I'm not, I've told them this, I'm not going to spend taxpayer dollars to put up another tower that could cost anywhere from $1 million to $2 million to fix a problem that you created. And so we've been very open with them about that. I've told them that multiple times. And their response really was, we'll do the engineering. Again, why I think this processes are wrong, a lot of the engineering happens after a route's already picked, and I haven't seen one yet. We asked for examples of, well, you do engineering and then you find out that won't work. Do you ever go back? Well, there isn't an example of where they've ever gone back from doing it. And so, we want to ensure that our citizens are protected, and that's definitely one of the big issues that we have here in Erath County.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate all the information you're sharing. Judge Huckabee, what would be the final thing? If you could talk to the PUC, the legislators, and Governor Abbott right now, what do you want them to know? Just a message from your county, what you want to see from them. What's next?
Well, we want it to stop. I quite frankly, now that I've been educated in this whole process, it's just not needed. And at what impact are we doing to everyday citizens, ratepayers, landowners, to help certain groups? The Oncor mentioned the multiple studies were done. We know the one that they're basing all this need off of is one done by 6 large oil and gas companies with ESG and different things all in it for the demand. It's not right for everyday Texans to pay for big corporations to have better ESG numbers or to save money. That's not right. Industry should pay for itself, not everyday hardworking taxpayers in any county in the state of Texas. And so if I wanted to hear from him, I think there's better options out there. There's local generation with local transmission. Listen, I'm not against growth, and I understand I want electricity just as good as the other person. But I don't think 300-mile, 765 kilovolt lines that have never been put in the state of Texas are the route to go. I really don't believe that was the intention of some of the people that voted for it, if you take them for word. That wasn't the intention. And I believe that it's been used as a way to help some industries, to help serve certain segments of the population and not everyday Texans. And as elected officials like they are, or appointed officials that like the PUC are, our job is to represent the citizens of our jurisdiction. And my job is to represent the people of Erath County. Theirs is the people of Texas. And there's better ways, better methods to fix some of the issues that are there to make our grid more reliable, to make us have better power generation. There's much better ways than do it. They need to pause this. They don't need to pause this. They need to stop this. They need to reconvene. They need to come up with a better solution. Do their homework. Do the homework that so many people in our community have done for them just here in Erath County, and I know they have across the other lines as well. Do your homework, and let's come up with something that works for Texans, not just a select few. So.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Judge Huckabee. I know you've done so much for so many people, and y'all are working so hard, and the whole community is coming together, and it warms my heart because I'm seeing what everybody is doing and coming together. There's not pointing the finger saying, put it over there, put it over there. It's like, literally, no, we don't need it anywhere. Let's preserve Texas. Let's preserve our land and our ranches and multi-generational businesses and just that the community in the beautiful hill country is so pristine, and make sure that you build reliable generation close to where it's needed. And Thankfully, our legislators are coming out and backing us up and saying the same thing too. So I think things are going well. And I love that, hey, you made a great point there. Y'all have done so much of the homework. Oncor doesn't even need to do the homework because you did it for them. So that saves them a lot of money. Now they can pack it up, I think, build some reliable generation in the Permian, build some transmission lines around there to connect it, and then we're good, right? We need to make sure that we're building wisely before taking 70,000 acres of private property. And none of those people get any more reliable or affordable electricity. So we need to make sure we're doing the right thing. So thank you, Judge Huckabee, for your time. I appreciate it, sharing the process and what you guys are doing. And just God bless you. And we'll talk with you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for all you're doing, getting the word out and having great guests on. And it's been, you mentioned the people come together. I think it's been a beautiful thing to see in my community. It is not put it there, and it's people from all backgrounds coming together and going, it's not right.
Yep.
And let's find something's right. So thank you for all you've done to spread the word.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, we'll keep going. We're not finished yet.
Amen. We're not finished.
What we've heard today is a reminder that this is not just a debate about wires, towers, or route segments. It is about the way Texas makes decisions that can permanently reshape private property, rural communities, our food supply, and families' livelihoods. The people of Erath and Somerville counties are asking for transparency, meaningful notice, a process ordinary Texans can actually participate in, and confidence that every reasonable alternative has been fully considered. They're asking decision makers to look beyond a map, see the land, the businesses, the schools, the historic places, and the generations who will have to live with the outcome long after these hearings are over. Whether you live near a proposed route or far from one, this matters. Texans should expect a public process that is open, understandable, and fair, and planning that is careful enough to earn the public's trust before decisions of this magnitude are made. I will continue telling the stories behind the maps because every line on a map represents real people and a real community here in Texas. If this conversation resonates with you, share it with your state representative, your state senator, the PUC, the governor's office, and your neighbors. Ask questions, please stay engaged, and make sure the people closest to the impact are heard. Judge Huckabee, thank you for your service and for sharing your community's concerns with us. And thank you for watching. God bless you all, and God bless Texas. We're here to share the truth, to preserve that freedom for ourselves and for generations to come. This is American Energy Wars.